Hello and welcome to How to Survive Healthcare. I am Kayla Thompson-Riviere. I have over a decade of experience as an RN in the ER and ICU. Now I'm helping people as a dedicated advocate.
And I'm Nicole Broadhurst, a healthcare billing specialist and financial advocate, here to make sure you're not paying more than you owe.
We're here to share the insider tips and tricks you need to navigate the healthcare system, avoid common pitfalls, and get the care you deserve.
Because no one should feel lost or overwhelmed when it comes to their health.
Now, it is important to note that the information we share on this podcast is based on our experience and research, but it's not intended to replace professional medical advice. But whether you're a patient or a caregiver, you're in the right place. It is December 16th, or at least it will be when we release this episode, which means Christmas is in 9 days. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know, Nicole, I think, isn't that also coinciding with the first day of Hanukkah this year?
Ooh, good question. I have, honestly, full transparency, I don't know.
That was a random question to put you on the spot with.
Right. I was thinking, oh, sure, I'll be able to help. I have no idea. But
my brother-in-law celebrates both, and I'm pretty sure it coincides with it at some point because we're doing a Christmas and Hanukkah combined dinner that night. I believe he said that it's the first day. But anyway, I think probably the majority of us are having some holiday festivities. It seems like I just got an email from one of my networking groups yesterday with a list a mile long of all of these holiday parties. Oh, it is Wednesday, December 25th through Thursday, January 2nd is Hanukkah. So those are the two major ones here in the US. Everybody busy celebrating, which is lovely. However, did you also know the holidays tend to be a time of ginormous stress?
Do tell, is that so?
Is that something you knew?
I don't know. I think everyone, I would like to meet the person that doesn't know that.
Yes, please. If you were unaware and you're not feeling stressed right now related to it being December 16th, send us a message. We want to hear from you and know your secrets.
That's right. For sure.
If you're like the rest of us, you're probably juggling a demanding job, potentially raising children. You may have parents to take care of as well in that mix. And now all of a sudden we have all of these parties to cater to, gifts that people expect you to buy. And it's a lot. There's demands on our time, our energy, our finances. And, we just put out an episode 2 weeks ago about trying to keep yourselves healthy and not getting sick. But people around us are getting sick as well. And it just increases everything. Everything is turned up a few notches right now. And it can be difficult to stay in a place of positivity and manage that stress and keep you from burnout. Because really, that's what anybody who identifies with all of those things, that's really what you're at risk for, is developing some burnout, particularly if you're already juggling with very full hands a list of demands, like I just mentioned. So we want to talk about that today, and how we can avoid burnout, particularly as a caregiver with your elderly loved ones. So, Nicole, tell us about this specific holiday stress trap.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So I'm not going to lie. Like, I actually find myself each year more and more in this position of this holiday stress trap because, balancing my parents' needs for some assistance. If you know me, Kayla, right? My dad just had surgery. So we are still in a very critical post-operative time for him right now. I also run a business full-time, right? And I also do things here locally with my sister and her family. And so all of this like sounds like a normal life for most of us, right? Like all this crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when you add, like you said, all of these holiday parties, and sometimes I'm really fortunate. I'm really fortunate. There's just my sister and I. But sometimes when you have bigger families, like my husband, there's 9 children in his family.
Mm.
Sometimes you can get these dynamics that happen around maybe your siblings aren't pitching in as much as would be helpful,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how do we divvy all of these responsibilities amongst the kids to kind of help support mom and dad? Or maybe, maybe, and I just went through this because I was at my parents', they live, it's far away. I was there and I stayed when my dad had his first surgery. I stayed 4 weeks after his surgery. But you know what? It's interesting. I actually only stayed a week this time. And I'm not going to lie, some of that was because it was Thanksgiving and I missed
Mm-hmm.
seeing some extended family because I was with them instead of with my sister and my more immediate family. My son, I didn't get to see him on Thanksgiving. All of this stuff, like I felt guilty leaving my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there was this guilt of I leaving my parents and I'm also not showing up for my son the way that I want to. And I'm not going to lie, I think I left try and balance some of that guilt and not being where I thought I should be during the holidays. Kind of crazy because I didn't even notice that. I mean, I didn't even put that all together until we're having this conversation. Um, I think that so those are some of the challenges, but then in addition to that, there's like the cost of neglecting my own care, self-care, right? As we go through this. Um, so one of the reasons that I actually left a week after my dad's surgery was because I needed to get back to my office so that I could function at my
Mm-hmm.
optimum level for my clients and for all of these things. And this was like a form of self-care because I wanted to kind of ward off because if I stayed, what happens? Like, what is the cost of neglecting taking care of me? It shows up in all kinds of physical symptoms, exhaustion, bad sleep. I might even get sick, right?
Right.
And then that's only, what about the emotional side of that, right? I get irritable, I get anxious, I start resenting my parents for needing me. Like, I don't even know if we're supposed to say that out loud, but that
Well,
happens, right?
it's funny you say that because that's part of the problem. I mean, we need to be able to say these things out loud and have a place where we can validate and normalize some of
Right?
this. So
Exactly.
good for you for setting that and making that place here.
I did. I did a little bit. Great. So I'm trying to think, is that all I wanted to say about that? I'm having a hard time, Kayla. I think it is. I think
But it
that,
sounds like
you
it
know,
sounds to me like one of the things you're highlighting is to keep yourself from getting to that place of burnout and having those negative emotions with your parents. You really had to set up some boundaries and
yeah,
prioritize taking care of yourself. And I know we've I know I've heard it a lot, this concept of you can't pour from an empty cup. And Nicole, I know you and I have had some conversation about this outside of the podcast.
yeah,
Um, and I just want to share it here that I've heard the sentiment, well, of course, they say you can't pour from an empty cup, but here I am doing it. But really, what happens is you're not showing up as your best self. And I'm going to pull a quote we shared the other day. When you're
yeah,
not taking care of yourself and making self care a priority and using these boundaries, what you're really doing is giving everyone around you just what's left over and what you have. And not only is that not ideal for them, it's not ideal for you. Nobody's having a good time.
Right.
And that just really highlights the importance of self-care. I was actually listening to an audiobook this morning on parenting. So sort of the opposite of taking care of your parents, taking care of the children. But, when we're talking about these close interpersonal relationships, there's so much crossover. And the author of that book was actually sharing that self-care isn't optional, it's a requirement. And it's an obligation for you to be the caregiver that you need to be. And I think I would encourage everybody to think about that and what does that mean for them? And it doesn't have to be, a 2-hour bubble bath every day. That's probably not realistic. And I don't know about you, but if I think about a self-care routine that has that much time and attention in it, I just get irritated because that's not even doable.
Who has that kind of time?
Right. I'm here for the things that are actually actionable. So I know that regardless of how busy your schedule is, you can find 5 minutes in the beginning and 5 minutes at the end of the day and pick something that feels recharging for you. If I can find that time between my baby, my son, trying to get this business off the ground, giving attention to my husband, and all these other holiday activities, if I can find that time, I know that you can. Another thing for me is kind of changing the way you think about some of your times. So I've shared this before, but if you have a commute to work, maybe think about how you can leverage that time to be self-care time. So for me, when I'm driving to the office, I mentioned I was listening to that audiobook. I dedicate that time to whatever it is I need in that moment. Sometimes it's just music. Sometimes it's just silent to sit with my thoughts, and it's almost meditative. I mean, I'm paying attention to the road, but really just trying to clear my mind or go where I need to go with that. Or sometimes it is this self-improvement audiobooks or podcasts. That's part of my routine. But, perhaps it's making sure if you're somebody who likes a ritual to unwind at the end of the night, well, make it, put it on your calendar, write it to yourself that you're going to, I don't know, maybe it's after you put the kids to bed, you're going to intentionally make that hot cup of tea and just sit and enjoy it and drink it. There's little things you can do to help put the focus back on yourself so that you can show up in the best way for everybody who needs you. Now, I also want to highlight, though, if this is around your parents' medical needs, there's resources. That's exactly why Nicole and I are here, is to help offset some of that burden. Because really, when you're facing burnout, it's not from a lack of trying, and it's not a sign that you're not doing it right. It's just that you're trying to carry too much alone. So looking at what you can offload and where, even just a little bit in these aspects of your life, delegating, that's going to be really helpful. I also encourage you to take some of the pressure off of yourself. I know I grew up in a household where I would joke that my mom loves Christmas and loves decorating. And I would joke that if you came to our house during the holidays, like it looked like it was ready for a catalog, or like that you were going to the Christmas shop to buy things because it would be so well decorated. And for a while I would beat myself up that I just wasn't, living up to that expectation I had in my own mind of like what Christmas should be. And I've just had to learn to let go of that, because I also look at how much time my mom puts into that. And for her, it is an activity of self-care. She enjoys that. For me, it's a chore. So letting go of that expectation to live up to some of those holiday traditions. I also don't do elf on a shelf, guys. So
Oh my
you really
gosh.
really check in with what's on your plate, what's important, what's actually important, what can either be taken off of your plate or given to somebody else to handle. If you expect that you need to be making Christmas cookies, okay, do you need to make them, or maybe can your partner make them? Can your kids make them? Can you, if your parents are in the home with you, can they help you make them? That could turn into
Right.
a fun bonding activity too. So just
Yeah.
kind of thinking a little bit out of the box, taking a moment to take a step back and reevaluate everything as opposed to just trudging through it.
Oh, I love it. I'm sorry, I had to laugh at the elf on the shelf. That's a whole nother conversation, right? I love this. I mean, so I love this. So, okay. So, what are some practical tips that we can take, right? Like, it's easy to say, oh, delegate, set boundaries, prioritize, right? I think we've all heard these, but what does that actually look like in our day to day? And I love this so much, Kayla, because this really does kind of get into the root of what we do as independent advocates, right? Like these are some of the things that, we thrive on, and we can actually help take some of this and help you reclaim time, right?
Right.
And so for
It's the
example,
problem
yeah,
solving.
yeah, right? It's the time suck of, oh my gosh, I have to call these 3 doctors and get mom's appointments scheduled. And if you can hire it out, especially if you just need to do it for even a short period of time to kind of bridge this holiday season, right? You like need to move it
Yeah.
over. I can't do this all right now. I can have, an advocate come in and coordinate appointments or communication between providers, or make some phone calls about those bills that I just can't seem to get to right away, or help. Kayla's great at helping people get ready for appointments. That's, something that you can do. So this reclaiming time and delegating would be really easy in a to-do list if you enlisted an independent advocate, Kayla, myself, somebody in the realm, right? And as you do
Absolutely.
that, like that literally just reclaiming time will by nature reduce your stress, because now you're not stressed. I mean, let's face it, in 8 business hours daily, most of us work 8 hours. So in that working day, now we have to find time to make a phone call that might take an hour because I have to sit on hold. But if I don't have to do that, now all of a sudden I'm not stressed about it, right? So innately,
Hmm.
if you can reclaim some of your time and do some delegation, it's going to reduce your stress and give you peace of mind that not only is somebody else doing those tasks for you, but that person is actually very well versed, experienced, and knowledgeable
Right.
about the tasks that they're doing. Like that's their
Yeah,
specialty.
not only is it getting done for you, but it's getting done correctly.
Right. Often look at it like this. This is an area of life where many people have no problem hiring somebody to come in and clean their house, or come in and mow their lawn, or plan their garden for planting. This is the same type of stuff, y'all. Like, really, there are people that have this level of expertise and knowledge that you can leverage, right? So reclaim your time, delegate those tasks to somebody, especially an advocate that has the experience. And something that might take you an hour might only take one of us 15 minutes. I'm just putting it out there, which will in turn reduce your stress, right? So, and increase your peace of mind because it's being done and done well. So I think these are some things to really consider, especially in this high pressure holiday season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Um, and I just want to note that I don't want you to get to this place, but if you're finding that you are wanting to cancel things because you just don't have the energy, or you're just frankly feeling overwhelmed, or you're getting frustrated, like Nicole was just mentioning, starting to get frustrated with your parents, frustrated with the people around you for why are they so needy? That is a very
Right?
clear sign. Please take a step back, because the last thing you want to do is end up out of your frustration and overwhelm. That is no fault of your own. You don't want to end up damaging those relationships, especially at a time that truly the spirit of the holiday season is supposed to be joyous and, spent enjoying the time we have with the ones that we love. So maybe this is the gift you give yourself, is to buy some free time and know, like Nicole said, know that it's being handled correctly. Guys, Nicole's helping me handle my medical bills because she is the whiz. And just getting that bill in the mail, it was like, oh, I don't even know how I'm going to face calling them. And being able to hire Nicole to get that off of my chest has been just such a relief and so worth it. And
And
we want to help you have that sense of relief and freedom and being able to breathe, that you don't have to worry about that, especially when it does come to managing these appointments with these doctors. And are they talking to each other? Are they saying the right things? It's too much, guys, and we're here for you.
I love that. Pardon me. Yes. So, yeah, peace of mind, more time, definitely all of these things we need through the holidays. So I guess I'm going to challenge our listeners. Like, what is one task that you can delegate this week? Like, just one. Delegate it to your sister, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, outsource, schedule a consultation with Kayla or I. Like, it's a free consultation just to see, is there anything that's on your plate that we could take care of? Who knows? Won't know unless you have the conversation. I invite you to and challenge you to have the conversation with us. Pardon me. And remember, self-care is not selfish, right? It's
Oh, say that one again,
essential.
Nicole.
Yeah, self-care is not selfish. This is something that I have to think about regularly. When I was leaving my parents on Sunday, I was saying it when I backed out of the driveway. This is not selfish. This is what I need. My parents are safe. There's nothing like I need to go home. This is okay.
Yeah. It's that, and it goes back
So,
to the oxygen mask theory.
yes.
If the plane is going down, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on the other people around you, because you're not any good to anybody if you're overwhelmed, frustrated, burnt out, and useless.
Right?
Not only can you not continue being of service to them, but frankly, nobody wants to be around you when you're like that. You don't want to be around you when you're like that.
Oh my
So if
gosh, that's
you
so
love
true.
them, take care of yourself, whatever
That's
that
right.
looks like for you. Like I said, find some time to set some time aside to recharge in the morning and at night, and look for areas in your personal life, your professional life, and your caregiving responsibilities where you can offload even just a little bit to help offset the extra burdens of the holiday season.
Love it.
So I hope that this was helpful, at least bring to light maybe some of the things that you were already feeling, or perhaps didn't realize that you were feeling them. And we are going to be continuing this holiday trend when we see you next week with, I think we're going over tips to stay out of the ER. Don't be a statistic for the
That'll be
holidays.
good.
So we will see you next week with that. And thanks for listening. Take care.